Hello and welcome to Ask MandRproductions episode 130, the series where I answer your questions. So if you have a question for next week's episode, you can leave it down in the comments section below. If you guys see a question that you definitely want answered, make sure you hit the thumbs up button on the comment and that will help me see it. Also, if you guys enjoyed the video, you may as well hit the thumbs up button on the video because why not? As usual, we have a ton of questions to get to, so let's get started with our first question from Ollie. He says, why do you not buy Technic? This is not necessarily true because I do occasionally buy Technic. I mean, you could say this about anything. Why do you not buy Friends? I mean, occasionally I buy a LEGO Friends set or something, you know what I mean? So that's not necessarily true. I do buy Technic very rarely, and the reason I don't find myself super into it is, one, it doesn't have any license thing, or not like Star Wars, Harry Potter type of thing attached to it, and that's what I usually gravitate towards with like actual LEGO themes, so obviously it doesn't have that connection. And two, it's just a pain to build, and most of the good models are much more expensive. I'll also say that, like, you are in for a penny, in for a pound when you get into Technic. You have to go in hard or else you're just not getting the best of the best. Like, I've got a couple of smaller sets and they're all right, but like the big ones are where it's at with LEGO Technic, and that's just a large barrier to entry when they're so expensive, on top of the fact that when they are those larger Technic sets, they are just a absolute pain to build sometimes. So it just deters me for a lot of reasons like that. So ultimately I don't find myself buying a lot of LEGO Technic, and nor do I have the time, I feel like, to deal with it. Per Daniel says, the General Grievous minifigure keeps getting made in the white color, but if you watch the movies, he is clearly tan. Why is it so? Why is it so? Because I think if you watch the movies, he is not clearly tan. I mean, I think that is a very opinionated statement. I don't think it's very clear at all. I would wager to say he's more white than tan. Definitely not as dark tan as they made him for the Clone Wars set. The first time we saw Grievous, like in the Clone Wars like animated style, he was like just white. He didn't even have any like dirt or grime on him. So I would say that the character is more white than tan. I would disagree with what you're saying, that it's obvious. I just disagree with that. So I think LEGO's just decided that it looks better in white, like kind of like the same reasons the TIE fighters are light gray instead of, or when they were previously blue and whatever. Like at some point LEGO just decided this is the color we are going to stick with, and that is what they are doing, and I think that's fine. I actually really like the white version of Grievous. I don't really have a vested interest in one over the other, but I think the other tan was too dark anyway, so I think that the white is the better color. I don't have an issue with that at all. I have a lot bigger issues with the Anakin and Obi-Wan from the Summer Wave. Caleb says, what Star Wars set or sets are you most positive will be made in 2021? The Ultimate Collector Series Republic Gunship is the only set I have any idea or inkling or feeling that will be made next year, like, at all. That's the only one I'm positive. El Bobo says, what is the most overpriced set of all time, not just Star Wars? Well, you say not just Star Wars, but the answer is going to be Star Wars because that's what I know the best, and that's what I think the true answer is. And I did a video actually on most overpriced Star Wars sets a couple of years ago, and I may revisit this in a few more years. I think it's way too soon to revisit it. It's only been, 2.5 years, if that, since I did this. But my number one answer was the General Grievous Combat Speeder. And this one, not a wonder, like, it's a fine build, but like it was a little oversized compared to what I think a lot of people would relate to what you see in the Clone Wars show. And on top of that, $30 for 157 pieces, just hit a lot of people the wrong way with that set. And now you look at this summer where you have the General Grievous Starfighter that is $80, 487 pieces. But the kicker to me is that they've just gone out of their way to make things inaccurate and not include things that should obviously be in the set, like a Phase 2 Cody to me. So to me, the summer 2020 General Grievous Starfighter is the most overpriced set of all time. Like, just maybe a lot of recency bias there, and probably so, but right now that is the top on the power rankings. I would definitely say it's more overpriced than the General Grievous Combat Speeder, and if that's true, then it must be more overpriced than anything else on that list because that was already the number one option. So that's where I land on that. Weird Sandwich 101 says, do you think Thrawn is still alive? Absolutely. I think it was left pretty open that Thrawn and Ezra at the end of Rebels are not dead. They would have killed them on screen if they wanted you to think they're dead. That's how those things work. And there's a lot of rumors swirling around that Thrawn may come in a live action form some way or another. So I am all down for whatever they do with Thrawn. I just want them to use his theme song and the same voice actor, or use the voice actor as the physical actor so it's the same voice. I fell so in love with everything the Rebels version of Thrawn was. David says, what is one thing you would ask from LEGO to change about their product? All right, this is going to be something a little bit different, I think, than most people would answer. And maybe you guys can let me know what you would answer this in the comments. But I hate thumb tabs. Like, thumb tabs are just the worst, okay? They ruin the boxes in so many ways. So, like, look, you have the back of this box, which is already dented. Thank you, Lan. The back of this box, right, you have the thumb tabs, and it's a neat it's a novel idea, right? You push the thumb tab in and then you pull it out. Well, when you do that, what happens a lot of the time is it creases this area of the box, which is, you know, debatably okay, like whatever, but it creases this area of the box. I've noticed a lot recently that the thumb tabs will just straight, like one of them at least every time I've been opening boxes will just fall completely off when I open the box. The other one will usually stay on, and yeah, I don't like that. I wish they would use tape on all of their boxes, and it's weird because like when this set comes in America, I'm sure it'll be a taped box, but for the European version, they have thumb tabs, and some boxes have thumb tabs, some boxes don't, and like there's no real rhyme or reason to it other than just whenever LEGO feels like doing one or the other, I think. So I would love to see them just use tape on their boxes. I don't understand why there are two different versions that just kind of get used whenever, wherever. Like even Star Wars Battle Packs, like some of them have thumb tabs and some of them have had tape in the past, and I would just prefer everything be that tape. I much prefer that. Just cut it with a knife and it's good. You don't damage the box, makes everyone happy. Like, you can't be unhappy with tape, but you can get people unhappy with the thumb tab. Now the counter argument to that is that over time the tape can deteriorate. So I can understand that, like it makes sense. The tape can definitely fall apart. So, you know, goes both ways, I guess, but I would just much prefer tape myself, but maybe that is a little short-sighted for collectors that keep their stuff in box and don't want the tape to fall off. Asher says, how many Lego bricks do you own Asher says, how many Lego bricks do you roughly own? I would say probably about 500,000. Like my brick set thing says from all the sets that I own, it's about 360,000. And then you also got to factor in all like the pick-a-brick cups and things that I bought, and maybe things that I haven't accounted for in my collection that might not be listed there and things like that. So I would say about 500,000 Lego pieces in my collection at this point. Guards Brick says, will you ever make a Discord server? So I have a Discord server. It is only exclusively for YouTube members. So if you press that join button down there, I think the cheapest one might be $2 a month or something like that, and you just get access to that Discord server. You get a link to it. Even if you become if you only become a member for 1 month or whatever the case may be, you can stay in that Discord server as long as you like. My thing with the Discord server is though that like I made it because people kept asking for me. I'm like, all right, I'll make it a member thing. It's not something that I don't use Discord a lot as it is, and I go on there a little bit, but I'm not on there a ton because the reason I don't have like a public Discord server is because I didn't want that accessibility, right? I already feel like from my point of view that I am already super accessible. Like if you send me a DM on Instagram, like there's a 99.9% chance I will at least read it. I might not reply to it, but like I see a lot of that stuff. Like I'm very, like you can email me, you can message me on Instagram, Twitter, like I'm too accessible in my opinion. And if I get a Discord server and then people are gonna want me on there 24/7, you know, like that's where I get lost, because it's like, as much as I love all this stuff, YouTube is freaking amazing and is well outgrown my wildest imagination at this point. But like, at some point I gotta have a life too, if that makes sense, and I cannot spend all day on Discord talking to everybody that wants to talk to me, and then people are gonna be unhappy, and you know, it just doesn't go over well in my head, and I don't want to deal with running any of that. And people have offered to run it for me. It's like, you can make a fan Discord server, but I'm not gonna like pimp it out or anything. So, yeah, hopefully that doesn't like offend anyone, but that's just like the way I feel about it. Is just I don't want to be that accessible because I already feel like I'm way too like. There are not many other LEGO YouTube people like me, I would say, where it's as easy to get in contact with, and you know, sometimes that's just too much for me, and I gotta have time to do other stuff in my life and make videos and watch sports and play video games and not just be on Discord all day. It's something that I made because people kept asking me for it. I'm like, all right, fine. If you want me to make one, I'll make one, and it can be a member only thing, but I'm not just gonna make one and have 1 billion people on there and it's gonna be nuts, you know? That's just my true feelings on it. Will says, petition for Ryan to set up a room entirely dedicated to displaying Lucas land speeders. 322 people signed this petition, and I'm going to deny the petition. I'm sorry. Well, I might have an extra closet. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, probably not gonna be doing that one. Very unfortunate. I know they've made a lot of them, but I don't think, just not quite enough to fill an entire room at this point. Matthew says, Ryan, you have any must-buy LEGO Star Wars sets for 2020? I think there are some pretty obvious ones to me. The Razor Crest. The Razor Crest, obviously, from The Mandalorian, and that is super popular, and assuming you like The Mandalorian, the Razor Crest with Baby Yoda, Mando, Grief Karga is going to be something that a lot of people are going to want, and something that I would put on my must-buy list. I would say maybe Anakin versus Obi-Wan, like the Mustafar duel. It's only $20. It's from a very iconic scene. You get both figures minifigures, which are accurate to that scene, shockingly. So that's one that I think is a must-buy. I think another one that's a must-buy is going to be the 501st Legion Clone Troopers Battle Pack. That's a pretty killer set for 30 bucks, I would say. If you're really big into Clone Wars and Ahsoka, the AAT is a must-buy. As much as I don't think I really like the design of the AAT, getting the 332nd Trooper and the Ahsoka minifigure are definitely big draws for that set. And dare I say, the Boba Fett helmet? I think the Boba Fett helmet is like nearly a must-buy, at least for me. Like, I feel like that one is the one to have, so Boba Fett helmet gonna make that must-buy list, at least as of now, like off the top of my head. Like I said, I do think I want to do a video on this very topic now that you've brought it up to me, Matthew, so we'll see if I actually do that, but those are the 5 that I kind of think would be must-buys as of now in my head. Stephanie says, when you get your shelves, will you be displaying minifigures with their sets, maybe like a battle scene? No, I probably won't be doing that. I'll either be displaying them probably separately on their own thing, like of all of the LEGO Star Wars minifigures, or I will display them with the sets. However, they'll be on like minifigure stands, just laid out perfectly straight, like these are the figures that came in this set, these are the figures that came in that set, little thing. Maybe I'll make little placards, I don't know, but probably not going to be displaying things like a battle scene. That's just not for me. 41st Elite Custom says, do you think LEGO will ever release life-size lightsaber hilt sets based off popular characters? With 123 likes on the comment, I feel like I just talked about this not too long ago. I don't know, I do way too much stuff and I never remember what I say where. I'm starting to really think that this is a very possible thing because they've obviously gone all in on the adult market, right? And lightsabers, like just the hilt, that's not like a weapon or anything. Why can't you just make the lightsaber hilt? So I could see them making the lightsaber hilt as its own standalone set for like, I don't know, $60 to $100, you know, come on the black box and everything, maybe have the face of the character whose lightsaber it is. That could be something that would fit on that box art type of thing. And I could definitely see them doing that, especially because they are trying to infiltrate that adult market. That would be something that would appeal to adults. Now, my counter argument as to why they can't release something like that, it's kind of the same vein that they can't release Star Wars CMFs, is because of the Hasbro license, and that is, I would believe that some other company, you know, sells these lightsaber hilts, because I've seen them before out there, and it's just the hilt, whatever, on a little stand, and that some other company has the unique and sole right to sell that product, and so LEGO obviously could not sell that product. So that would be my best guess as to why that couldn't happen if you don't see it happen, but if they can do it, I would assume they will do it. Diego R says, do you think it's too late to start making LEGO reviews or LEGO videos in generals? I, like many others I assume, used to make a ton of them on my old camcorders just for fun back in the late 2000s. And now that I'm older, I'm starting a collection back up, and it seemed like fun to actually make videos and post them online. Wait, how could you have made videos in the late... All my fans are 6 years old. This is not adding up. Okay, serious note, should you start making LEGO reviews? It's definitely a saturated market, and it's been a saturated market for, I don't know, 5-6 years. You know, it's been a long time that a lot of people from the outside looking will be like, yeah, it's too late to get into it. I would say it's definitely too late to get into it as like a LEGO reviewer and just be a LEGO reviewer, and like that's your only thing and become popular in that way. And you add in your question LEGO videos in general, that's where I think you become something different than just a LEGO reviewer, where I don't think there's much of a market for just that anymore, because there's already big established names that predominantly only do LEGO reviews. So yeah, I mean, I would say go for it. I would just be aware that it is a saturated market, but 100% you should do it. There's no reason not to try. You know, you never know. It might just be a fun hobby for you for, you know, the next year, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, whatever. Or it could turn into something great like it kind of has with me over the last decade. Like, you just never know. So I wouldn't discourage you from doing that at all. I would totally go for it. If you have your iPhone, just use the camera on your iPhone. You got an iPod, use that. iPad, use that. You have a camera, use that. Like, just use what you already have, you know, and go for it. So 100% start trying. Bogdan says, I'm pretty new to your content, but I heard that you hate Ninjago. Why is it so? I don't hate Ninjago. I mostly do it because the Ninjago people are exceptionally triggerable, and it is absolutely hilarious to see them every time. I recently saw someone say that they hate my channel now because I said that Monkey Kid would kill Ninjago, and that is just the funniest thing to me. I don't necessarily hate, it's just not my cup of tea, you know? I have some Ninjago sets. I like the Ninjago movie. I don't watch the show. I don't buy the sets from the show necessarily. I've had a few of them, but they've just never been my thing. I don't hate it. I don't sit around thinking, oh my god, how are we gonna stop Ninjago? So he must just hate it, and I have to hate him for not liking it, because if he doesn't like what I like, then no, that just can't happen. So do I hate Ninjago? Not necessarily. Do I like Ninjago? I think that would be a bit of a stretch to say as well. I'm pretty indifferent on it. Like, I say the Monkey Kid will kill Ninjago because I think it's funny. Do I think it's possible? Yeah, I think it's possible. A few years, it could happen. I think Monkey Kid is a really good theme. I really like it. Ninjago had never had that same effect on me, so I just thought it was kind of a funny thing. Some people take things like that a little too seriously, I think, and you know, you can't have any fun. Telltale Brick says, how do you feel about the crocodile train? Oh god. Looks like a piece of shit. I don't know about that one. You know, the problem with sets like that, and I'm sure there are people that are into trains. This is much like the Ninjago. If you're in a Ninjago, that's great, that's your thing. I don't care about it personally. Kind of the same vein here with the crocodile train. You're into trains, you really like the crocodile train or whatever, wonderful, you know, it's a great set for you. I'll see it on the store shelves and I'll be like, I'm just gonna walk by it. Like, I don't have any feelings on it. I'm not gonna like punch it there on the shelf. I feel like it's a good value at $100 for, I don't know what it was, like 1,200 pieces. Like, it seems like a good value in that way. I like that they're bringing trains back. There has been a big gap in the LEGO train market for a long time, ever since LEGO did like the My Own Train line, and I think that ended maybe in like 2003, 4, or 5, somewhere in that range. They kind of stopped making trains so much, and they just made like the LEGO City passenger train like once every 3 years type of thing. And I think people got really tired of that, and I'm glad that they're bringing actual trains back. And this is like a real world train. It is not one that I have any type of attachment to. I've never seen it in real life. I probably never will. So like, I just don't have any connection to it or care for it in any way, shape, or form. It is not an inherently good looking train to begin with, so obviously the LEGO version will represent that, and it does a good job of representing the ugliness, I'll say that. Maria says, would you ever get a LEGO Star Wars tattoo? So I feel like people were asking me this on my live stream recently, and my answer to this is there are like 2 or 3 tattoos that I would ever get. Now, I should preface this by saying I don't really plan to ever get a tattoo. I don't think that's for me. I don't plan to do it, okay? Would I ever get a LEGO Star Wars tattoo? That would be one of the options. I would do like the LEGO logo, I would do the Star Wars logo, or I would do the combination of the two. That's like one thing I would do with like, because LEGO Star Wars obviously is huge to me. And then the other thing I would do is like any of the 4 Boston sports teams, or just like all 4 like in one thing. Potluck5 says, what is the ideal price per piece that all sets should be? There isn't one. Price per piece doesn't exist. It's made up by the fans. Like, that's not a thing. Like, it's hard to gauge what each individual piece is worth because each individual piece varies so much in value. You can't compare a 1x1 tile to a 10x10 plate because they're just not the same. There is no such thing as like price per piece in the LEGO world other than like what's been created in the minds of fans. And the other thing with price per piece is apparently it's been getting better over the years. Like, and people don't seem to realize this at all. They're just like, oh, the price just keeps getting worse. Like, LEGO products are undeniably way better than they were 20 years ago. The price per piece is better. Like, there's so many things like that that just blow my mind that people are just blindly throwing out on the internet when the facts and evidence behind it are just the complete opposite of what people continue to say. So my point about this that I wanted to make, come back to it now that I'm done, got a little worked up. Price per piece is an ever-changing thing, right? Because you have inflation, LEGO's creating new pieces, smaller pieces, bigger pieces, whatever the case may be. But mostly the thing is with inflation, right? This is a fake example, but this is obviously a very stretched version of the truth. Let's say $100 now was worth $10 10 years ago. So 10 years ago, a 100-piece set cost $10 and it had 10 cents per piece and everyone was fine with that. But now, with inflation, which means the money is the same, it's worth the same, but it's a different number, if that makes sense. From the best I understand, I haven't done a ton of inflation research and I'm not an economic major or anything of that nature. But let's say now, 10 years later, that $10 is now $100 equivalent. So it's the same price you're paying, like as far as what the money is worth, but the set that is 100 pieces is still 100 pieces, but the price associated with that is now 10 times greater, and now the price per piece is $1 per piece. So all of a sudden, you look at it and you're like, oh, LEGO is charging $1 per piece? What a ripoff. When the fact is, it just all has to do with inflation and not to do with what LEGO is doing. So I think that there are a lot of unjust and unfounded complaints like that. And, you know, the price per piece thing is very complicated. How LEGO prices their sets, I will never really fully fully understand, I feel like, and I don't expect anyone to, but I feel like there's just a lot of unfair and ridiculous statements like the price per piece on this set is 12 cents? That's ridiculous, I'm never buying. You know, like, I see a lot of that stuff. So there is no ideal price per piece. That doesn't exist. The Brick Pigeon asks, do you ever think we will get sets again from movies like Rogue One and Solo? If so, would we get remakes or new sets? And Titan Cats with the answer of the century, because this has been what I keep saying every time people ask me this question. They're like, are we ever gonna get sets from episode 8 again? It's like, yes, we are. Eventually, I'm sure they'll make something again. And Titan Cats goes, I can tell you word for word what he would say. Yes, it's possible. Anything is. Probably a mix of the two. Remakes it. Like, that's exactly it. Like, that is the truth. LEGO is open to making anything at any point from anything that is Star Wars canon. Like, I don't see what the thing that people don't seem to get about that every time I say it, because it's very obvious to me that they are open to that, right? They make stuff from all time periods all the time. This Summer Wave is a great example. We have an episode 9 set, we have Clone Wars sets, we have episode 3 sets, we have original trilogy sets, we have Star Wars Galaxy's Edge sets. Anything is possible. I will not answer anything like that question again. Hold me to it, please. Malocello says, will you be annoyed having to buy every Star Wars keychain, clock, storage container, etc. to complete your Star Wars collection? I won't be doing that. I'm only collecting the LEGO Star Wars sets, poly bags, whatever I feel like I want to collect, basically. Like, whatever I deem collectible. So I'll have some of the keychains. I probably won't own any of the clocks because I have no interest in those. I may own a storage container or two, but certainly not all of them. I'm just collecting retail sets. That's my thing, and that will also probably go out to like Comic-Con stuff and things. I'll collect that, obviously, because it's just kind of, I've been collecting it over time, but I'm not collecting all that crap. The DA Squad says, has there ever been a set that was so popular after retirement that LEGO unretired the set? Now, there's a few ways to look at this, right? Because LEGO often does remakes, and so you see a lot of remakes. So this is where a set is basically taken and just completely redone from the ground up. They also do some remasters very occasionally. And I use this word remaster instead of re-release because they've stopped doing re-releases, right? For the most part. They re-released the Taj Mahal, and that's one that I would say maybe is a good example for what you're asking, because the Taj Mahal got retired, it was worth a ton of money, and then they straight up re-released it basically as it originally was. They also did a re-release for some earlier Star Wars sets. Like, they just kept releasing the same thing over and over again for some stupid reason instead of just keeping the same thing on shelves. But the other way to look at this is remastered sets. And I think this is a term that I kind of want to get out there, because I was thinking about it today, I'm like, nobody's really talking about how they're remastered. They're not, like, it's not really a re-release what LEGO has done with the Death Star Final Duel 2 set from 2015, now bringing it into 2020. They're not re-releasing it. It's not quite the same as a remake to me, because a remake to me is something where it is a new set. Like, it's maybe from a slightly different era, has slightly different minifigs, is certainly a different build. But this is more of a remaster. It's like going from Call of Duty Modern Warfare versus something like Call of Duty Modern Warfare Remastered, which is obviously the same game, but remastered with maybe like a few extra guns and things like that. And so you look at the LEGO Star Wars Death Star Final Duel, and that's a remastered set. I wouldn't say that that one was particularly popular after retirement. I just feel like LEGO felt like maybe it was one that they should have out there still, because it's a nice set, and obviously from a scene that a lot of people and adults, and they're trying to get in the adult market right now, so maybe they're hoping adults will see that set and buy it because they're new to the fandom. I don't know. There's a lot of reasons like that could go into something like that, but Taj Mahal would maybe be my ultimate answer. Like something like the USS Millennium Falcon is a remake. It's not a re-release, and it's not a remaster. Like, it's just completely redone from the ground up. Bar Sam says, who is the most respected and who is the most recognizable person in the LEGO community? I would say the most respected has to be Brixar. I feel like Brixar would be the most respected person. As far as most recognizable, that's a tough one. But yeah, that's all for this episode. If you guys did enjoy, hit the like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. If you have a question for next week, leave in the comments below. Peace out.